crows became black. Several years ago, there lived a crow that was white in color. An owl who owned a dye shop lived in his neighborhood. The various colors that the owl used always fascinated the crow. One day, the crow asked the owl, "Can you color my body pink?" The owl said, "Yes, my dear friend," and he asked the crow to come the next day. The owl had poor eyesight. While mixing the colors for the crow, he poured black color instead of pink. He told the crow, "Your color is ready. Just dive into that pool of color." The crow immediately dived in, but when he emerged, he saw that he was dark in color. He got very angry and cawed at the owl. "Why have you made me black? Wait till I catch you." The frightened owl flew away. Since then, crows are black, and owls, out of fright, come out only at night when crows are fast asleep. The Scorpion and the Frog. Once upon a time, a scorpion lived in a dark cave near a mountain. He was not happy with his surroundings at all. One day, he came out of his cave and noticed that the valley across the river was very green. Suddenly, he saw a frog leaping around. He asked the frog, "Hello, Mr. Frog, would you carry me to the other side of the river?" The frog replied, "No, I will not. I do not trust scorpions." But the scorpion pleaded, "I do not know how to swim, so if I sting you on the way, I will also die." The frog was convinced and carried the scorpion across the river. Halfway through the journey, the scorpion stung the frog. "Why did you sting me? Now both of us will die," cried the frog. The shameless scorpion replied, "There is nothing I can do. This is my nature. One cannot change one's basic nature." And both of them got drowned in the water. The Parrot and the Guinea Pig. Bunny and Muggsy, two dogs, lived in a farm near a forest. One day, Bunny told Muggsy that he met a guinea pig named Bob near their farm. Muggsy wanted to meet him too. So both the dogs went to meet Bob, a small brown-colored guinea pig. The two dogs played with a small red ball with Bob and had lots of fun. Then they walked back to their farm. When they got back home, they found Petty, the parrot, waiting for them. Bunny and Muggsy told him about Bob. Petty asked, "Do you think he would play with me?" Muggsy said, "Yes, why not?" Petty took his checkers and rushed to meet Bob. A few minutes later, he came back crying. "Bob does not like me. He is not interested in playing with my checkers." Muggsy laughed. "Guinea pigs do not play checkers. Try playing with a ball." Petty agreed and eagerly went to meet Bob again with a red ball. This time, he played with the red ball. Hold up the sky. Once, on a beautiful summer day, an elephant was wandering in the jungle. Suddenly, he stopped. He saw his friend, the hummingbird, lying on its back with its tiny feet up in the air. "Hello, friend. What are you doing?" asked the elephant. The hummingbird replied, "Hello, Mr. Elephant. I heard that the sky was going to fall. So to help, I am ready to hold it up when it falls." The elephant thought about this for a few minutes. Then he laughed aloud and said, "Oh hummingbird, you are the tiniest bird in the world, and the sky is so big. Do you really think that those tiny feet could help hold up the sky?" The hummingbird still kept its feet up in the air and was quite determined to do so. It said to the elephant, "Not alone, dear friend, but I am ready to do my part. Each one must do what he can, and this is my part." The fastest hare. There was a small hare living in a burrow in a forest. When he was 4 months old, he told his mother that he wanted to run very fast. As the little hare grew up, he still longed to run fast. So he prayed to God every night to express his wish. Well, one day he started racing with other hares. They ran for a long distance and one of the other hares came first. The little hare was very disheartened. That night he saw a fire-breathing dragon in his dream who told him that he could win a race if he really tried hard. Next morning, the little hare got up and challenged the other hares again for a race. This time, the little hare tried his hardest. He caught up with the one running ahead of him, hurriedly ran past him and crossed the finishing line. Finally, the little hare had won the race. The little grey donkey. After a long time, a fair came to the jungle. All the animals, big and small, were very happy and excited about the fair. Young animals were enjoying different rides. Shanky, the little grey donkey, also visited the fair. He wanted to enjoy the ride named Columbus. So, he stood at the corner of the ticket window but was barely visible. Thus, he was unable to buy the ticket. The moment Shanky tried to move forward, someone or the other pushed him back. Shanky became very upset. One of his friends, Laura, the mule, was observing all that. She understood why Shanky was upset. She went towards Shanky and asked him to bray loudly. Shanky's loud bray would attract the ticket man's attention and the ticket man would give him the ticket. Shanky understood the idea and started braying loudly. The ticket man noticed him. He gave a ticket for the ride Columbus to Shanky. Shanky got super excited. He enjoyed the ride very much and thanked Laura. Who is the smarter? One day, a wolf and a jackal were fighting with each other. The wolf bragged to the jackal, "Hey jackal, I am more educated than you." The jackal quietly said, "Yes, my friend, you're right, but I am definitely smarter than you." Just then, a tiger roared, "Nobody is so educated as I am." The wolf rose on seeing the tiger, while the jackal quickly thought of a plan to escape. He said, "Yes, sir, you are. That is the reason we want you to suggest who should have the chickens, me or the wolf." The tiger was greedy. He thought of savoring not only the chickens but also the healthy jackal and the wolf. The tiger said, "Show me the chickens first." The jackal showed him a small cave. "Sir, the chickens are inside the cave." As soon as the tiger went inside, the clever jackal covered the entrance with a rock. The wolf was impressed to see the jackal's move. He said, "I was wrong. You are definitely the smarter one." Why rabbits are herbivores? Several thousands of years ago, there lived a hunter rabbit named Chuck. One day, Chuck saw some big footprints. He followed them and went deep into the forest, but he found nothing. He felt hungry and ate berries. Next morning, Chuck again followed the footsteps but could not find anything. He had to again eat some berries. He was fed up of eating berries. That night, he decided to lay a net for hunting. But to his shock, he discovered a big hole in the net. So he went to meet his magician grandmother. Chuck told her everything. She gave him a magical net that could not be cut. Chuck laid out the net on the pathway. Next morning, Chuck heard a voice, "Let me out, or else the world will remain dark forever." He went out and saw that he had captured the sun. Chuck quickly freed the sun, but the sun was already so angry and cursed Chuck that he and all the other rabbits would always eat plant food like berries and would never eat any animal food. The Greedy Cat. Once in the jungle, there lived a man named Freddy in a small cottage. A cat named Adam often visited Freddy's cottage. Adam was a very greedy cat. Every night, she used to steal Freddy's food. One night, Adam had so much food that her tummy was excessively full. That night, she dreamt of Dodo, Freddy's dog. Dodo was chasing Adam all over the place. She woke up with a pounding heart. Next night, Adam forgot about her dream and stole Freddy's food again. And she again dreamt of Dodo. Now, Adam was very scared. The following night, when Adam tried to steal, she found that Dodo was guarding Freddy's food. That night, Adam could not eat much food. She had to manage with some blackberries. But Adam did not have any bad dream that night. She was very relieved and happy. So, she finally decided not to be greedy anymore. Windy the Lonely Goat. Once upon a time, there lived a family of goats in a jungle. There were 3 members in the family: Windy the little goat, Mr. Tony the father goat, and Mrs. Mushy the mother goat. Windy was nice, obedient goat, but he had no friends. He used to remain very silent and sad. One day, Windy went to the river and saw a small goat in water. He bleated joyfully, "Would you be my friend?" But suddenly, a fish came out of the water and said, "You stupid goat, that is your reflection." Windy became sad again. While walking back home, he thought, "I am so unlucky," and tears welled up in his eyes. When he reached home, his father hugged him tight. "Welcome, son. See what we have here for you." Windy hurriedly went to the backyard and saw a little white goat lying beside his mother. "That's your sister," exclaimed his mother. Windy bleated happily, "Now I will never be lonely again." The Oxton and the Pig. There were 2 oxen, Jack and Mac. They worked for Mr. Giant, the wolf. Mr. Giant had other animals working for him too. Once it was Mr. Giant's daughter's wedding. For that occasion, Mr. Giant asked his wife, "We need a fat pig for the wedding dinner. So start feeding good, delicious food to Chunky the pig." Chunky started getting good and delicious food. Then onwards, Jack and Mac were observing all this. They knew Mr. Giant's real motive behind it. So they went and told Chunky about Mr. Giant's motive. Chunky got scared after listening to this. He asked Jack and Mac to help him get out of Mr. Giant's house. That night, Jack and Mac broke Chunky's tie with their strong horns. Chunky was free now. He ran happily towards the nearby valley where other fellow pigs lived. Jack and Mac were also happy as they saved their friend Chunky from the wicked Mr. Giant. The Intelligent Mouse. 2 mice lived in a cave. There also lived a lion in that cave. Every day, the mice used to feed on the leftovers of the lion's food. One day, they found no leftover food as a jackal had come and had finished it off. This got the mice worried. But the younger one was clever. He said, "I have an idea to get rid of the jackal." The mice collected some fish and some gravel and made a pie out of it. They took the pie to the jackal's cave. Smelling the fish, the greedy jackal came out of the cave and ate the pie. But as soon as he finished eating, he had a terrible stomachache and started crying. Upon seeing this, the younger mouse suggested, "This food here is stale. You should go to the mountains to get fresh food and air, and you will never have this stomachache again. Believing the mouse, the jackal went away. The wise old pelican. Once a flock of wild geese lived on a tree in a dense forest. Among the geese was a wise old pelican, but no one liked the pelican as he used to narrate stories with good lessons. One day, when the geese had gone out in search of food, a hunter laid his net there. In the evening, when the geese returned, they found themselves trapped in the net. They cried for help, but there was no one to hear their cries. The wise old pelican said, "Tomorrow morning, when the hunter comes, be very still and pretend that you are dead. He will not take dead birds and will throw the net on the ground. When the hunter will throw the net towards the ground, you all should flap your wings together and fly in unity." The geese agreed. Next morning, the hunter came early. All the geese did the same, flapped up in the air and flew away. The peacock's feathers. Many years ago, the peacock was an ordinary bird with a small bunch of feathers. It used to fly high in the sky, although it always wanted to be the most beautiful bird on earth. One day, the peacock visited the wish goddess. It expressed its wish in front of her. The wish goddess smiled and the peacock was blessed with a long train of brightly colored feathers that trailed behind it. The feathers were blue and green in color with a jewel-like pattern. The peacock was also blessed that it could open up the feathers like a fan if it wanted. Now, the peacock held its head high and started walking like a king. The common birds looked at him in surprise and were jealous. After showing off its colorful feathers, the peacock decided to fly, but it was shocked. It could not fly anymore. The peacock sadly realized that it had lost a wonderful ability simply because it had wanted to look good. The greedy traveler. Once there was a smart old tiger. He could no longer hunt as he had grown old. One day, when he was terribly hungry, he thought of a plan. He stood in a pond and held a blade of holy grass in one paw and a gold bracelet in the other. Then he started shouting, "Ladies and gentlemen, a gold bracelet for charity." A greedy traveler was passing by. He asked, "How can I believe you that you would not harm me?" The tiger replied, "I know that it is not easy to believe, but a holy man has advised me to do charity, so I am doing this for charity. In any case, I am quite old. My teeth and claws are of no use, so do not be afraid of me." The traveler believed him and went into the pond, but got stuck in the deep mud. "Oh, do not worry, I will help you," the tiger said, and he slowly waded towards the traveler and grabbed him for his meal. The thankless hippo. There lived a selfish hippo near a lake. He used to eat loads of food and never left anything for other animals. Once, all the animals decided to have a picnic near the lake. Everyone was playing, but the hippo was eating. After having a good meal, the hippo dived into the lake, but he had become very heavy due to overeating and he got stuck in the muddy lake. He shouted for help. The other animals rushed to the lake and saved him. Immediately after he was rescued, he pushed the other animals aside and rushed to the place where food was kept. The animals became very angry and decided to teach him a lesson. They made a pie of yam and soap and gave it to the hippo. "Hey hippo, see, we have made a pie for you." The hippo ate the pie After eating the pie, he went to relax in the lake. He then realized that whenever he tried to speak, lots of bubbles appeared from his mouth. He felt terribly upset and never ate other animals' food again. The Lion's Wedding. Once upon a time, there was a fierce young lion in the Daintree forest. All the animals of the Daintree were afraid of him. One day, the lion decided to look for a suitable match for himself. Within a few days, he found a beautiful lioness. After consulting the priest, an auspicious date was set. The lion wanted to invite all the animals of the Daintree. He thought, maybe this way I can make them realize that I am kind-hearted. Though the animals were invited, they did not go. Later, the bear asked the elephant, "Why did you not go to the lion's wedding?" The elephant replied, "I am strong, but I still fear the lion." Then he asked the bear, "Why did you not go there?" The bear replied, "I could not collect sufficient honey. The lion would have been upset and may have even killed me. Thus, all because of the needless fear that the animals felt, none attended the gentle lion's wedding." The Douglas Fir Cone. Once there was a mouse in the red forest. He was scared of a sly fox. The fox always made different plans to catch him and tried to kill him. But the mouse was smart enough to escape every time. One day, the sly fox managed to encounter the mouse. The mouse got very scared and ran off as fast as he could. But he knew that the fox was the faster, so he frantically searched for a place to hide. He found a Douglas fir cone that he thought was big enough to hide him. So he scurried inside. The mouse hid himself so well in that cone that the fox could not find him. And to this day, you can see the hind legs and the tail of the mouse sticking out from the Douglas fir cone, where he is still hiding from the fox. The Cock and the Sun. It was a hot summer afternoon in the forest of Amazonia. All the animals were complaining about the heat and cursing the sun. The sun felt very hurt. That day, the sun decided that it would never come out again, and as a result, the earth became cold and dark. Many animals died due to extreme cold. The older animals decided to send Mr. Cock, their messenger, to the sun for talks. The cock asked the sun, "Why have you stopped coming out?" The sun replied, "I shine throughout the day to give you light, but you animals keep on cursing me. I refuse to shine again." Mr. Cock cried, "If I return in darkness, the fox will eat me." And the cock flew away. After some time, the sun heard a loud call. Immediately, the sun rose up and the entire earth shone bright. However, the sun could not find the cock anywhere. Since then, whenever the cock calls out, crows, the sun promptly comes up and shines bright. The biggest fish. Donna, Eddie and Callie, the three brown bears, went fishing one day. "I am going to catch the biggest fish today," Eddie boasted. Donna bragged, "No, I am going to catch the biggest fish." Eddie growled and dangled his hooked worm into the water. Callie smiled. "I am going to swim around and catch a fish. The biggest fish stays at the bottom of the pond." So Callie jumped into the pond. The other two bears sat patiently waiting for any fish to eat their worms and get caught on their hooks. "I have caught one," Eddie shouted. "It is the biggest fish, I am sure." A few minutes later, Donna started to jump around. "I have caught one too." "Wow, it is bigger than yours, Eddie," she said. Soon, Callie also brought up one big fish. She was also excited. Eddie put Callie's fish next to his. Yours is the biggest fish. My fish was a big fish. Donna's fish was bigger than mine, but yours is the biggest of all. Two frogs. It was a nice rainy season. A group of frogs was playing together. Suddenly, two of them fell into a deep pit. The other frogs saw that the pit was too deep, so they started encouraging those two frogs to give up instead of trying to jump up. But both of them ignored the comments and tried to jump up out of the pit with all their might. The other frogs kept telling them to stop. Finally, one of the frogs gave up. He fell down and died. The other frog continued to jump as hard as he could. Once again, the crowd of frogs yelled at him to stop the pain and just die. He jumped even harder and finally made it out. When he got out, the other frogs asked, "Did you not hear us?" The frog did not reply as he was deaf. He thought they were encouraging him the entire time. The false friends. Once there lived a hare in the jungle. She thought that she was very famous among all the animals. One day, the hare heard that the dogs were out hunting for her, but she was confident that her friends would save her. So she went to the horse and asked him to carry her away on his back, but he declined. She then asked the bull, but the bull refused. "I am very sorry, but I have an appointment with a doctor." She went to the sheep with her problem. The sheep said, "Another time, my dear friend, I do not want to interfere in the present situation, as dogs have been known to eat sheep as well as hares." The hare then asked the calf as a last hope. The calf regretted and did not take the responsibility upon himself. He was also scared, as many older animals than himself had declined to help. By this time, the dogs were quite near, and the disappointed hare took to her heels and luckily escaped on her own. The two parrots. Once upon a time, there lived a parrot in a forest with his brother. Both lived happily together, hunting and singing. One day, King Lion's minister, Mr. Wolf, caught these parrots and took them to the lion's court. He said to the king, "O king, I have brought this beautiful pair of parrots especially for you." The lion was very happy. He kept both the parrots in a cage and ordered his servants to look after them well. The parrots were happy. One day, Mr. Wolf brought a black monkey and presented it to the king. The lion was amused to see the monkey's activities. Soon the monkey became the center of attraction. With the arrival of the monkey, the parrots were neglected. But they did not lose hope. They knew that one day they would gain attention again. One day, the monkey scared the lion prince. When the king lion came to know about it, he ordered his soldiers to leave the monkey back in the forest, and the parrots were treated well again. The flying frog. During the rainy season, the savannah is covered with green grass. Faraji the frog croaked and leapt from rock to rock. Just then, the ground began to shake. What could it be? Faraji wondered. Jelani, an elephant, stepped into the rushing waters and plopped down on his bottom. The impact blew Faraji away. "What was that?" shouted Faraji. Jelani said, "Do you want to fly? Sit on my trunk and I will make you fly." "Oh, all right, but only once," Faraji said. Jelani took a deep breath. "Here you go," and he blew as hard as he could. the frog went flying through the air. "You blew too hard," Faraji shouted as he fell with his back against the tree. "That is enough flying for today." Jelani sat in the water, filled his trunk with water and blew it into the air, happy that Faraji was finished with his games. But Faraji hopped over to a lily pad and sat quietly for the rest of the day, rejoicing his flight. The generous rabbit. Once the rabbit built a fantastic warren. He designed it so well that even a flood that destroyed the entire forest could not harm his warren. Soon, one after another, the homeless animals came to his door asking if they could spend the winter with him in his warren. He provided shelter to all the animals. One day in spring, when all the animals had returned to their old homes, the rabbit was hopping along so absent-mindedly that he did not realize that a lynx was lying in wait for him. One of the animals who had spent the winter in the rabbit's warren saw this and warned him just in time, asking him to take shelter quickly in his home. The lynx destroyed that home, but soon other animals in the jungle whom the rabbit had helped in the winter provided him with a shelter to hide. This way, the rabbit's life was saved in return for his own generosity to others. Listen to the wise. In a thick, dense jungle, there lived many lions. There were two huge baobab trees in the middle of this jungle. The lions used to kill other animals. The carcasses of the dead animals used to stink and spoil the air. One day, the baobab trees started talking. They said, "These lions are polluting our jungle. We must drive them out of here." A wise old tree who stood nearby said, "These lions keep us safe from woodcutters. No woodcutter dares to come into our forest." But both the trees ignored his advice. That evening, the baobab trees started shaking violently. "Do not do that," shouted the wise tree. But the two trees did not pay heed. They began swaying wildly in the wind and made eerie sounds. All the lions ran away. After a few days, a woodcutter came to the forest and started felling the trees. The two friends cried out, "Oh my God, save us! We should have listened to the old wise tree." Unfortunately, it was too late to save them now. The Clever Boar. Once a boar lost his way and entered a dense forest. He was scared as any big animal could attack him, but he was a clever boar. Soon he spotted a cave nearby and decided to settle in it. Many days passed. The boar became quite healthy, hunting and eating small animals in the forest. He made many friends too. One day, a lion noticed the boar. "Aha! A boar! So healthy! I will have a delicious meal today." The boar also noticed the lion. The clever boar thought of a plan to escape. As the lion came closer, the clever boar looked into the cave and called out, "Darling, do not cook anything for dinner. I have just spotted a lion. I am waiting for it to come near." When the lion heard the boar, he turned around and ran for his life. Making Dodo happy. In a big dense jungle, there lived many small worms. Dodo, the youngest worm, never smiled. He was always frowning. One sunny morning, all the worms were enjoying the nice weather. Dodo looked at the beautiful flowers but did not smile. All his friends were concerned about him, so they decided to make him happy. Wendy, Dodo's friend, cheered Dodo. "Look at me, Dodo." Wendy started juggling small sandstones. All the other worms were laughing and clapping, but Dodo went away. One of the worms, Susie, said, "I know how to cheer Dodo up. Let us paint ourselves in different bright colors and dance in front of Dodo. Dodo, Dodo, come and see what we have done," Susie called. But Dodo still did not laugh. "I think we should paint you orange," said Susie. The worms grabbed Dodo and painted him orange. The paintbrush started to tickle Dodo and he started to giggle. So finally, Dodo laughed out aloud. The pigeon's hospitality. In a jungle, there lived a pair of pigeons in an acacia tree. One evening, Mrs. Pigeon came back early from work. She was waiting for Mr. Pigeon. Suddenly, it started raining and she happened to see a bird catcher coming her way. Mrs. Pigeon saw Mr. Pigeon trapped in the hunter's cage. "Oh no, what shall I do now?" she said. Soon, it stopped raining. The clothes of the bird catcher had got wet. He decided to sit under the same tree where the two pigeons lived. Mr. Pigeon looked at his wife and said, "This man is shivering. We should help him." Hearing this, Mrs. Pigeon flew around getting dry twigs. She arranged a few stones for the bird catcher and made chirping sounds so that the bird catcher might notice the twigs and light a fire for himself. The bird catcher was overwhelmed by the hospitality of the humble pigeon couple. He opened the cage and set Mr. Pigeon free. The unseen enemy. One morning, a lion was sleeping peacefully in the jungle. Suddenly, he felt a sting on his nose. As he was in a deep sleep, he ignored it. But this tiny bee didn't stop. It again stung the lion's nose. This time, the lion roared loudly and tried to crush the bee with his paws. But he could not do so. So he sat down quietly. But the stubborn bee dodged the big cat's claws and stung the lion again on his face. The bee was happy on its victory over the lion. Now the bee saw a fox nearby. It headed towards the fox. While doing so, the bee was so excited that it did not notice anything else on its way. Unfortunately, there was a web in its path. The bee got caught in the web and was devoured by the spider. The Arrogant Squirrel. Once upon a time, there lived an arrogant squirrel in the forest of redwood. No one in the forest liked her. In the same forest, there lived a wolf. One day, the wolf hid behind the bushes. His first catch was a mole. The mole was shivering with fear. He called out to his friends, "Help! Help!" The mole was very kind and had many friends in the forest. Soon, he was rescued by his friends and the wolf had to leave empty-handed. The wolf came again one day and caught the squirrel this time. The squirrel started screaming, but no one came to her help. Suddenly, it started raining and the squirrel managed to escape. But the incident taught her a lesson. She changed her behavior towards other animals and became very polite and soft-spoken. Soon the squirrel too had many friends. And now she felt safe since she had a big group of friends. The Stuttering Bear. A bear named Brownie lived in the middle of a mountain range full of green fields. It was the best place in the world for Brownie as it was close to nature and was very safe. A group of dogs had discovered this secret place though. Brownie tried to scare them away by roaring and raising his arms. When the dogs were terrified, Brownie said, Get out of here." And all the dogs laughed at his stammering. After a few months, a group of animals came to the mountain range to build a big cave. Brownie did not want them to invade his secret place, so he practiced very hard to speak without stammering. He framed a long dialogue and kept repeating it without stammering. After a lot of effort, he could speak fluently, so he planned to scare them away. He finally succeeded in his mission of getting those animals out of his secret place. Bob the Cat. Once upon a time, there was a very mischievous tomcat named Bob. He never obeyed his mother. His mother always told him, "Bob, do not ever go into the forest." One day, Bob climbed up to the window of his house. From there, he could see many big trees far away. He decided to go there. Once, when his mother was not around, Bob went deep into the forest towards those big trees. He climbed up a big tree. Suddenly, Bob heard a loud bark. His paws got caught in the branches of the tree and his heart started beating fast. He was so badly injured that he started meowing and calling out to his mother. His mother was also very worried and searching for him. She heard Bob's cry and found the place. Getting in quickly and carefully, she untangled Bob. He cried, holding on to his mother tightly, and promised that he would never disobey her or go to the forest again. The Raccoon and the Talking Frog. Once there lived a raccoon in a jungle. He liked hunting frogs, rabbits, rats, and other small animals. One day he caught a frog. He thought of making the frog his pet. When he was going to put the frog in a jar, the frog said, "I will become a prince if you kiss me." "I will not kiss the frog," screamed the raccoon. "Why do you want to be a prince? It is much better to be a talking frog." The frog was not convinced, but the raccoon told the frog that he could make many friends in the jungle. The frog agreed and went to the raccoon's house. The raccoon said, "I will call you Willie." The next day, the raccoon called all the animals of the jungle and showed them the talking frog Willie. All the animals wanted to be Willie's friend. Willie forgot the idea of becoming a prince. Now he was happy with the raccoon and his new friends. The Animal Marathon. Once the king of the jungle, the lion, announced an animal marathon. All the animals were excited about this animal marathon, but the lion observed that two of the animals, the cheetah and the tortoise, were not looking so happy. He asked both of them individually why they were not looking happy about the animal marathon. The tortoise said, "Your Majesty, I am very slow. Even if I try hard, I can never win." The cheetah said, "I will certainly win, as I am the fastest animal. But then there would be no fun in the contest for the others." The lion thought for a while and said, "Mr. Tortoise, you can fire the pistol at the starting line, and Mr. Cheetah, you can carry the marathon torch." Finally, the matter was resolved, and all the animals happily took part in the animal marathon. The Monkey and the Tutu Skirt. A monkey lived on the bank of River Nile. She liked to try on new costumes. A raccoon was her best friend. One day, the monkey gave the raccoon a surprise visit. The raccoon was taking a bath and did not hear the monkey get into her house. The monkey saw a pink tutu skirt lying on the bed and immediately picked it up. She wore the skirt and went away. When the raccoon came in after her bath, she saw that her pink tutu skirt, which she was going to wear, was missing. So she took out another dress, wore it, and went out for a walk. When the raccoon reached the bank of the river, she saw something pink up on the palm tree. It was the monkey who climbed up the palm tree wearing the pink tutu skirt. The monkey was looking really good in that tutu skirt, so the raccoon gladly decided to present her pink tutu skirt to the monkey. Pichu has to wash up. There lived a piglet in a jungle. His name was Pichu, and he had two siblings. He loved playing in the mud. Pichu used to dance crazily in the mud whenever his neighbor, Aunt Sophie, played music. At lunchtime, Mom and Dad used to ask all the piglets to wash themselves up and remove the mud. But Pichu liked to have mud all over him. He did not like water at all. He did not like going out when it rained. One day, Pichu fell terribly ill. His father called Dr. Elephant to check him up. Dr. Elephant said, "Pichu, you have fallen ill because you do not wash your mouth before having food. I instruct you to wash your hands and mouth properly before and after having food. Otherwise, you will never get well." Poor Pichu. He promised Dr. Elephant that he would wash himself regularly. Winter nights in the forest. On a winter night, all the animals of the jungle were shivering with cold. By midnight, the temperature dipped below 0 degrees Celsius and many animals fell seriously ill. Dr. Dove was watching all these animals. The next morning, a dog complained, "I could hear the sound of my teeth chattering as I shivered in the night." "Though we are big, we too felt very cold," said an elephant. "I have an idea," said Dr. Dove. "Let us all move into a nearby cave and spend our winter nights there." The animals agreed. It was night again. All the animals were inside the cave, but still they were shivering. They asked Dr. Dove for a solution. Dr. Dove asked them to collect dry twigs, make a small heap and set it on fire at the mouth of the cave. After lighting the fire, the cave became warm and all the animals slept comfortably. They made it a daily routine and enjoyed the winters. Team effort can solve big problems. The Quail and the Tomcat. In a jungle, there lived a quail. In her neighborhood, there lived a tomcat. The quail was the mother of 4 chicks. She was always scared of the tomcat, but the tomcat was very loving towards the chicks. One day, in spite of her fear, Mother Quail went out with her chicks for a walk near the pond. The tomcat followed them with his camera. He wanted to take pictures of those chicks. Suddenly, Mother Quail heard some sound. She immediately checked on her chicks and was shocked to find one of her chicks missing. The tomcat had also heard the sound. He followed the sound and found that it was coming from a hole. The tomcat put his paw inside the hole and found the missing chick there. He took out the chick carefully and handed it to Mother Quail. Mother Quail was very happy and relieved and thanked the tomcat. Finally, Mother Quail and tomcat became good friends. The Foolish Rabbit. Once, a dog was wandering about in a forest. Suddenly, he came upon a grassy patch and saw a rabbit busy eating the grass. The dog decided to chase the rabbit. The rabbit noticed the dog coming towards him. He ran as fast as he could to save himself from being killed. As the dog was getting nearer, the rabbit was unable to run anymore. He hid behind a bush. Unfortunately, due to his hunger, the rabbit ate the leaves of the bush and became visible to the dog. The dog saw the rabbit and tried to catch him with a single leap. The rabbit immediately ran towards his burrow as fast as he could. But alas, the rabbit could not make it to his burrow, and the dog succeeded in catching him. The rabbit got caught due to his foolishness. He ate the leaves of the bush behind which he had been hiding safely. The Mouse Plays a Trick. A forest was located near a seashore. All the animals in the forest used to make fun of the mouse's tiny size. One day, the mouse thought of challenging the shark and the elephant to a game of tug-of-war. He called the shark and asked her to remain near the seashore. The mouse told her that he would give her a long rope, and when he would ask him to pull, the competition would start. He conveyed the same message to the elephant and asked him to stand behind the trees near the seashore. The mouse then cleverly tied the rope both to the shark's tail and to the elephant's body too. He yelled, "Pull!" Both the animals, the elephant and the shark, pulled the rope, but to their shock, they just could not pull it. They thought, that little mouse could not possibly be stronger than we. But finally, they shouted out in exhaustion, "Oh mouse, we surrender. We will never mock you again." The Pigeon Scholar. One day, an elephant was very happy. He invited all the animals and the birds of the jungle to a party. Everyone wanted to dress well. The pigeon who delivered the invitation to the party on behalf of the elephant had no time to dress. All the other animals were nicely dressed up. When the pigeon saw this, he felt very bad. He said to the animals, "Sadly, I have no new dress, so I will come in my old dress itself." The elephant felt sorry for the pigeon and thought of cheering him up. All the animals agreed and said, "Do not worry, dear friend, we will arrange something for you." Then all the animals collectively gifted him a sparkling collar. The pigeon was very grateful and happy. Since that day, all pigeons wear sparkling blue-purple collars. The Clever Mouse. Once upon a time in a jungle, a baby mouse and a mother mouse lived in a small hole in King Lion's cave. The hole was warm and had lots of food to eat. One day, the mother mouse was about to take the baby mouse out for a walk. Just outside the cave, they saw a huge ginger tomcat licking his lips, waiting to eat them up. Clinging to his mother's tail, the baby mouse cried, "Mother, mother, what should we do?" The mother mouse knew exactly how to deal with big scary cats. So she paused, staring up into the beady eyes of the hungry cat. She then opened her mouth and took in a deep breath. "Woof, woof," she shouted, and the cat ran away as fast as he could, wondering how a dog could look like a mouse. "That was amazing," the baby mouse said to his mother, smiling happily. The mother mouse said, "My child, that is why it is always best to know a second language." King Cobra and the Ants. Once there lived a king cobra in a small hole in the jungle. When he was small, he ate little creatures. As he grew older and bigger, he began to eat eggs, lizards, frogs, and rabbits. And when he grew up further, he even started eating other smaller snakes. His pride grew with him. All the small animals began to fear King Cobra. One day, he thought, "I must move from this small hole to a bigger place." He came across a big tree and decided to live there. Then he saw an anthill near the tree and thought, "Why should there be an ugly anthill near my royal house?" He hissed aloud, "I am King Cobra. I order the ants to vacate this place immediately." There was no reply. He became angry and struck at the anthill. What a surprise! Thousands of ants swarmed up all over the King Cobra, biting him everywhere. The King Cobra could not bear the pain and ran away. The Kind Sparrow. A mean crow and a kind sparrow lived on the same tree. One night, the sparrow ran short of water and sent her children to borrow some water from the crow. The crow said, "I cannot give you water just because I am your neighbor." The kind sparrow told her children, "It's all right. We will share whatever we have." That night it rained heavily. Water damaged the crow's nest. So he went to the sparrow's nest and asked for help. The sparrow said, "You can sleep in the basement." The crow saw a sack of beans in the basement. He was hungry and started eating all the beans. In the morning, his stomach had swollen up. The crow said, "I ate all the beans and now my stomach has swollen." The kind sparrow said, "Don't worry, I'll call the doctor immediately." The sad crow apologized for what he had done before. From then on, they became good friends. The cockatoos' yellow crest. Several years ago, cockatoos were all white. All the other birds used to tease them that they had no color. But if you look at a cockatoo today, you will notice that its crest is yellow. One day, a cockatoo was wandering in the jungle. It was searching for food. Suddenly, it saw something strange lying on the ground. "What is it?" wondered the cockatoo. When the cockatoo got closer, it said, "Wow, they are feathers." Yes, they were 3-colored feathers. The cockatoo picked them up and put them on its tail. When it went walking, the other birds noticed that those feathers belonged to them and not to the cockatoo. They started to pluck out the cockatoo's feathers. The cockatoo flew away quickly and hit the sun. The sun was so hot that it made the cockatoo's crest yellow, and it came shooting back down to the earth. From that day onwards, cockatoos started having yellow crests. Realization of a mistake. Once a doe and her parents lived in a jungle. The parents were very unhappy with their daughter, the doe, because she was always fighting with them. One day, the doe left her abode and went to a nearby jungle and started staying with her friends. Once, the doe and her friend were resting in a cave. Suddenly, they heard the roar of a lion. The doe said to her friend, "What shall we do now? This lion will kill us." Her friend replied, "We are too small to help each other. I am going my way. You take care of yourself." Now the doe remembered how her parents saved her during any crisis. She realized her mistake. The doe fled from the cave and soon returned to her parents. Her parents were very happy to see their daughter back. The doe realized her mistake and promised to behave better. Be thankful. It was a hot summer day. After wandering for many hours, a bull sat down to take some rest, chewing cud with his eyes half shut. All of a sudden, he realized that a tiny animal was sitting on his horn. It was a parakeet. Silently, she sat on one of the horns of the bull and kept sitting there till it had rested fully. The parakeet wanted to show the bull that she had used his horn as a seat without letting him know about it. After a while, the parakeet asked the bull, "Would you mind if I go now?" The bull replied, "I hardly care when a tiny creature like you comes and goes away after resting on my body. If you had thanked me for using my horn, it would have raised your worth in my eyes." The parakeet felt ashamed and flew away. The Stupid Sparrow. Once there lived a crow and a sparrow in a jungle. They both were good friends. On the birthday of the king of birds, the eagle, all the birds went to his castle at the seashore. The crow and the sparrow also went there, along with all the other birds. On the way, the two birds saw a cow with a pot full of curd on her head walking ahead of them. The wicked crow, true to his nature, followed the cow and kept dipping his beak into the pot and eating the curd. The sparrow also flew over the cow and sat on the pot. Now a bull was following the cow. When the crow saw the bull, he got frightened and immediately flew away. But the stupid sparrow could not fly at time. The bull caught her and punished her. The sparrow should have known that the wisest thing to do is to shun evil company, or one may come to grief. The fasting monkeys. One day, a group of monkeys decided to go on a fast. The oldest monkey asked the youngest one to bring some bananas to be eaten later in the evening. Suddenly, the wife of the chief monkey asked, "Why don't we peel one banana and keep it ready to eat?" "Yes, let us do that," shouted a fat monkey in agreement. "All right," said the chief monkey. So the monkeys peeled their bananas and carefully kept them ready for eating in the evening. "Can I keep a banana in my mouth? I promise not to eat it till the evening." "Please," a little monkey asked his father. "Why don't all of us put bananas in our mouths too? That way we can chew them immediately when we break our fast," suggested his father. So the monkeys put the bananas in their mouths. One by one, they eyed one another uncomfortably as they began their fast. Within no time at all, the bananas disappeared down their throats, and that was the end of their fast. The rat's tail. Long ago, no animal had tails. One day, the lion decided that all animals should have tails, and he designed a tail for each animal. When the tails were ready, he called all the animals. All the animals went except the rat. The rat felt too lazy and asked a monkey to fetch his tail on his behalf. The lion had selected a long furry tail for the rat. He gave that to the monkey to be taken to the lazy rat. The monkey had been given a nice long tail, but as he was going home, he was tempted by the rat's tail and attached it to himself. The rat was very disappointed when he learned that the monkey had kept his tail, but he was too lazy to pursue the monkey to give his tail back. So he attached the tail which was given to the monkey, and that is why rats have long tails. The frog with two wives. Once there lived a frog who had two wives. His first wife lived in Santa and the second wife lived in Clara. He went sometimes to Santa and sometimes to Clara to see his wives. Once the little frog came to him and said, "Come to Santa, please. Your first wife has a nice pudding for you." The frog was very happy because he liked pudding very much. He was ready to go when another little frog came up to him and said, "Please come to Clara. Your second wife has a nice pudding for you." The frog sat down and began to think, "If I go to Santa, my second wife will get angry. If I go to Clara, my first wife will get angry. Where should I go now?" He sat and thought for a long time. And then he leapt quickly to Santa, and within a few minutes he leapt back to Clara. Since then, frogs are leaping all the time. The lost wolf cubs. Once there lived an old wolf in the jungle who had no children. One day he was wandering in the jungle when he saw two wolf cubs playing under a tree. He looked here and there and saw that nobody was watching and stole them. After a few days, news spread all over the jungle that the two cubs of the wolf king had been stolen. On hearing this news, the old wolf went far away from that jungle so that nobody might find him. He raised those two cubs as his own children. Years passed and the old wolf fell ill. Before he died, he told the cubs who they really were. The cubs decided to find their real parents. On reaching the jungle, they saw that the Wolf King was being attacked by a bear. They rushed to save their real father. The Wolf King asked, "Who are you? And I have never seen you before." The cubs told him their story. The overjoyed king hugged the cubs. Thus, the lost wolf cubs finally found their real family. The foolish tiger. One day in a jungle, a tiger attacked a fox. The fox cried out, "How dare you attack the king of the jungle?" The tiger roared in anger. "Grrr!" He looked at the fox in amazement and said, "I am the king of the jungle, not you." The fox replied, "All the animals run from me in terror. If you want proof, come with me." First, they went near a herd of deer. The deer saw the tiger behind the fox and ran away in all directions. Next, they went near a group of monkeys. The monkeys saw the tiger behind the fox and they too fled. The fox turned to the tiger and said, "Do you need more proof than that? See how the animals flee at the very sight of me." The foolish tiger said, "I am surprised. Forgive me for attacking you, my lord. I agree that you are the king of the jungle." Never ignore enemies. Once upon a time, the crows and owls were enemies. One day, all the crows in the jungle made their homes in a huge banyan tree. The tree had hundreds of branches. The king of the crows ensured security for his brood, but was not very vigilant. He did not know that some owls had settled in a nearby cave. On the other hand, the owls who made a colony in a cave near the banyan tree were very vigilant. They had a king who ruled with the help of a strong and cunning army. The Owl King kept a close eye on the crows, and every night his army killed any crow they sighted outside the tree. Slowly, the Owl King managed to kill all the crows that were seen outside the tree. That is why wise men have always said that whoever neglects the enemy perishes in his hands. The fat quails. Once a flock of quails lived together in a jungle. Some of the quails were fat while some were lean. The fat quails always used to make fun of the lean ones. "You poor skinny things," they would say. They called them rags and bones and other rude names too. One day, the baboon's wife came into the yard to choose some quails for the evening's meal. She said to herself, "I will not have those thin birds. They are not worth eating. These fine fat ones, however, will make us a splendid dinner." She caught a couple of fat quails and took them with her. As they were being carried into the kitchen to be killed and cooked for dinner, the fat quails wished they had been so foolish to have laughed at their lean friends, who were now alive and happy. The Crow and the Sea. A flock of crows lived in a forest far away from the sea. They had never seen the sea. One day they flew very far and reached the seashore. They were very surprised to see the sea waves. One crow said, "The water is calling us to play." Another said, "Let us all play with those waves. Aren't they fascinating?" So all the crows rushed towards the waves. Suddenly, a big wave washed over the crows. Some of them were dragged into the water. The others flapped about on the seashore. The crows got angry and said, "Let us punish the sea by drinking it up." Each crow drank as much as possible, but the sea was not affected. Instead, the crows felt sick due to the salty water of the sea. Finally, the crows grew tired and quietly flew back home. The Jackal Cub. Once a family of lions lived in a dense forest. One day, the lion was prowling through the forest in search of prey. He found a lost jackal cub in the forest. He said to the lioness, "Let us raise him along with our 2 cubs." The 3 cubs grew up together as brothers. Some months later, they saw an elephant. The lion cubs faced him bravely, but the jackal cub ran away. The lioness said to the jackal cub, "Do not be ashamed. You are a jackal, and jackals do not attack elephants. But my sons may attack you when they realize that you are not a lion. It is time for you to live with the jackals." The jackal cub understood what the lioness wanted to say, as he knew the lioness loved and cared for him. So he agreed and went in search of other jackals. The wolf saves the tiger. A tiger had been traveling for many months. He covered a long distance across the valleys, over the mountains, and back towards his forest. When he returned home, he was happy because his brothers had organized a welcome feast for him. He exclaimed, "I am lucky to have such loving brothers." But generally, the truth is different from what we know. The tiger's brothers were secretly jealous of him. They planned to kill him by putting poison in his food. The tiger's friend, the giant wolf, overheard the brothers' plan. Thus, before the tiger could eat anything, the giant wolf knocked the food away. At the same time, a small raccoon ran towards the fallen food and started eating it. The raccoon fainted after eating a couple of bites. The tiger's brothers were so afraid of being punished that they ran away and never came back. The delicious dishes. A young she leopard, Tina, lived in the forest. Her brother also lived with her. Tina was an excellent cook and used to make new dishes every day. One day, Tina's brother saw that a young leopard was being attacked by an elephant. This young leopard was new to the territory and was trying to save himself from the furious elephant. Tina's brother saved his life and invited him home to dinner. Tina made a delicious dinner. She took great care that everything was perfect. When the young leopard tasted the delicious food, he asked, "Who made such wonderful food?" Tina came and greeted the young leopard. The young leopard fell in love with Tina and wanted to marry her. Soon they got married. Tina moved to the leopard's territory and realized that he was the king of his region. So Tina became the queen. Care and bravery. Once upon a time, an old gorilla lived in the jungle with his beautiful daughter. His daughter had grown up, so the gorilla was looking for a groom for his beautiful girl. One day, he announced, "Whoever finds the rarest thing on earth can marry her." All the young gorillas agreed and went to look for the rarest thing. After many days, 3 young gorillas came to meet the old gorilla. But before they could disclose what rarest thing they had brought, they were attacked by another group of gorillas. Among those 3 gorilla suitors, the first 2 gorillas began fighting, but the third one checked on the old gorilla and his daughter to see whether they were safe before starting the fight. Then he also joined the fight. When they won the fight, the old gorilla said, "The rarest thing are care and bravery. Only the third gorilla deserves to marry my daughter, as he has both of these rare things in his character. He is caring as well as brave." The squirrel's job. One fine morning, Sally the cow was grazing on the mountainside. She saw a little squirrel run past her very fast. Sally followed the squirrel and saw that it had rushed towards the red berry tree. Sally saw the squirrel take a bite from the red berry tree and toss it away. The squirrel kept picking up red berries, and after tasting them, left them half-eaten. Finally, Sally said, "Little squirrel, why do you not eat a full red berry? Why are you wasting these red berries?" The little squirrel sat up and said, "I want to present the tastiest and the juiciest red berries to my mother. Without tasting, how would I know which red berry is the tastiest and the juiciest one? I will taste all the red berries, but there are so many that I cannot possibly check them all." Then the squirrel went back to her job. The Three Kittens. Once there were 3 kittens. All the 3 kittens were getting bored in their house, so they decided to meet at the riverside. The first kitten wanted to roll in the mud, the second kitten wanted to roll in some coal, and the third kitten wanted to chase birds. Finally, they decided to go for a walk. On their way, they saw a rabbit digging the earth. He wanted to make a burrow. The kittens asked the rabbit if they could help him make his burrow. The rabbit said, "Sure." The kittens were excited and they started helping the rabbit. While doing so, all the 3 kittens got covered with soil. When the making of the burrow was over, they went back home. When they reached home, their parents could not recognize them, and so they were scolded. The kittens explained that they helped the rabbit make his burrow. After listening to their story, their parents became happy and praised them. I want sweets. Mia the camel loved eating sweets and candies. She told her mother, "I do not want boring food. Fruits and vegetables do not taste good." Ugh! She snorted in disgust. "Try eating them, Mia. They taste really good and are good for health too," said her mother. But after tasting sweet dates, Mia had no appetite left for anything else. One morning, Mia got up with a severe stomachache. She went to Dr. Parrot. "What have you been eating?" Dr. Parrot exclaimed. Mia sank down on her seat. She realized her mistake and was feeling embarrassed. Dr. Parrot took out 2 of Mia's teeth and cleaned the rest. Mia cried in pain. He gave her an injection to relieve her of pain. But she knew what wrong she had done. Dr. Parrot said, "You have worms in your stomach and you have cavities in your teeth. Promise me that you will eat fewer sweet dates and more fruits and vegetables from now on." Slowly, Mia became much healthier. The Frightened Elephant. Once there lived an elephant in a forest. The elephant was very scared of everything: water, wind, rain, other animals, and even smaller creatures like mice and worms. He thought water might drown him, wind might blow him away, rain might make him fall ill, and other animals might kill him. His friends and relatives were very worried about him. "Behave like an elephant," his friends advised him. But he did not know how to do so. He was unable to live a free and happy life. He always used to hide behind huge trees. He was not like the other members of his family. One day, a wise old cheetah said, "If you do not want to go near any animal, then don't. At least stop being afraid of everything. If you show your weakness, no one will respect you." From then on, the elephant started talking to other animals and roamed in the forest freely. He was finally happy. The Intelligent Reply. One day, the king of the jungle, the lion, called an important meeting at his den. He called the monkey, the zebra, the elephant, and the fox. The lion was very dirty, and so was his den. The monkey did not dare enter the den due to the bad smell. So he left without saying anything. Unable to bear the smell, the zebra covered his nose. "How dare you cover your nose? Does my den stink?" roared the lion. The zebra did not have an apt reply, and the lion threw him out of the den. The king then asked the elephant the same question. "No, it smells of roses," replied the frightened elephant. The lion was not happy with this answer either and knocked the elephant's trunk. He then asked the fox, "Sir, I have a cold, so I cannot smell anything," replied the intelligent fox. The lion was happy with his reply and made the fox his minister. Hippo who wanted to sing. Once upon a time, there was a hippo who lived in a river next to a mangrove forest. One day, a nightingale nested on the tree. The hippo loved her voice, but slowly he became jealous. He too wanted to sing like her. The hippo made up his mind that he would come out of the river, climb up the tree, perch on a branch and start singing. So he tried to climb up the tree. When he failed, he thought, "I shall ram against the tree until it comes crashing down." Then he stepped onto the leaves of the fallen tree and began singing. Unfortunately, he just managed to make a lot of noise. All the animals laughed at him. The hippo stopped singing and realized that he should be happy as he was. He used all his strength to raise the tree back up again and look after it until it had completely recovered. The Invisible King. In the jungle of Maluba, there lived a fly called Mozzie. Mozzie could roar like a lion. He discovered this special ability while still very young. When Mozzie grew up, he enjoyed frightening the other animals with his roar. Expecting to see a terrifying lion, no one noticed the little fly who repeated his tricks while making fun of his victims. Mozzie kept saying, "You will never see me. I am Leon, the fastest and strongest creature in the jungle." Finally, terrified, all the animals ended up accepting Leon as the invisible king of the Maluba jungle. One day, there came Tuga, a slightly crazy tortoise. He also heard the invisible lion's roars and threats. Tuga said, "Ha ha ha, a ghost king. Let us dance, invisible king." Mozzie was offended and he rushed towards Tuga. All the animals saw Mozzie, the fly, rushing. And then all of them started laughing at the invisible Leon. And thus ended Mozzie's golden days of happiness. The fly that roared, that threatened, that lied so much. The Wolf and the Lamb. Once an elephant and a lamb were good friends. The elephant played the flute in King Lion's court. One day, a wolf caught the lamb. The lamb saw that the wolf was carrying a flute with him. So he said, "I know you are going to eat me. But before you eat me, I would like to hear you play the flute. I have heard that you can play the flute better than anyone else, even better than the elephant." The wolf was so pleased at this that he took out his flute and began to play. When he was done, the lamb insisted on him playing once more. The lamb prompted the wolf and the wolf played again. The lamb's friend, the elephant, heard the sound. The moment he heard the sound, he rushed towards it. And he saw that the wolf had caught the lamb. The elephant gave a nice bashing to the wolf and saved his friend, the lamb. The wolf ran away as quickly as possible. The Boastful Crow. A flock of geese flew down to a beach where a crow was hopping around. The crow watched them with disgust. "How gracelessly you fly," he said to the geese. "All you know is how to flap your wings. Let us have a flying competition." One of the geese took up the challenge. The crow performed a variety of acrobatic acts in the air and flew down, cawing triumphantly. Now it was the goose's turn. He launched himself into the air and began flying over the sea. The crow flew after him, mocking him about his manner of flying. Water stretched endlessly on all sides. Eventually, the crow became so tired that he found it hard to stay in the air. The goose, pretending to be unaware of his plight, said, "Why do you keep touching the water? Is it some trick?" "No," squawked the crow. "I am in trouble. Help me, please." The goose took pity on him and with the crow on his shoulders flew back to the shore. The stupid wild crow. Once there was a wild crow for whom having to go out and hunt insects was just a great deal of effort. He was very fond of his comforts. One day he saw that a lioness had kept a parrot in a cage as her pet. He saw that the parrot was well fed. He thought of attracting the lioness's attention so that the lioness might keep him too as her pet. He went in search of colorful feathers and stuck them in between his black feathers. The cubs of the lioness saw this unusual crow and asked their mother to keep it as pet. The crow got easily caught by the lioness and started living with the lion and his family. Soon he started growing weak, as he got only grains to eat like other bird pets. Some days later, the wild crow managed to escape from the cage and return home. He was ashamed and embarrassed about his deeds and determined to live freely and hunt for himself. The Fox and the Lion. Once upon a time, there lived a fox who wanted to make friends with the lion, but he was very frightened of the lion. His friends tried to warn him about the danger in befriending such a ferocious animal, but he didn't listen to them. "I will surely be friends with the king of the jungle, no matter what," he announced. The next day, when the lion passed his way, the fox approached the lion a little closer than before. The fox did not feel so frightened as he used to be before. Next time, the fox came even closer to the lion and asked him about his welfare. The lion also replied in a friendly manner, "King Lion, it was nice meeting you. Hope to see you again," said the fox, and he left. Now he had no fear of the lion. Eventually, the lion and the fox became friends. The Arrogant Swans. In a faraway forest, there was a river. This river was home to many golden swans. The swans spent most of their time on the banks of the river. Every 6 months, the swans would leave a golden feather as a fee for using the river. One day, a homeless crane saw the river. The water in this river seemed so cool and soothing. "I will make my home here," thought the crane. As soon as the crane settled down near the river, the golden swans noticed her. They shouted, "This river belongs to us. We pay a golden feather to the Lion King to use this river. You cannot live here." And the arrogant swans drove the crane away. The crane went to the lion and told him the whole story. The Lion King was angry with the arrogant swans. "Leave the river at once, or you will be beheaded," shouted the lion. The swans shivered with fright and flew away, never to return. The Wolf and the Dog. One day, a dog went to the woods. After some time, he met a wolf. The dog said to the wolf, "Brother Wolf, you look so thin. You should live with me and my master. He gives me good food. The wolf thought for a moment and replied, Yes, you are right. Why should I be out here in the wild hunting for small bites of food when someone else can give it to me? I will come and live with you. Good, said the dog. Then follow me. The wolf noticed a patch around the dog's neck. Brother dog, asked the wolf, why do you have that patch around your neck? That is where my master ties the leash around my neck. He does this so that he may keep me in my place, replied the dog sadly. I would rather starve and be free than be fat and a slave, said the wolf as he returned into the forest. The coyote gets brown color. Many years ago, bluebirds were white in color. One day, a bluebird and his grandfather saw a beautiful blue lake. He stopped and asked, Grandfather, can I be as blue as that lake? His grandfather gave him a song to sing and said, If you dive in this lake for 5 mornings while singing this song, you will turn blue. The bluebird did so and became blue. The coyote saw this and requested the bluebird, Please teach me your song. The coyote also learned the song and did as told. The coyote also turned blue after 5 days. So the coyote strutted about in the forest, looking around to make sure all the other animals could see his color. But he paid no attention to where he was going. Unfortunately, he ran into a tree, fell down into a mud pit, rolled around and came out brown. This is how bluebirds are blue and coyotes are muddy brown in color. Justice in the jungle. Once upon a time, there lived an old kind sow in a jungle. She was looking after a lost tiger cub along with her piglet. One day, the wild old sow died. By then, the cub had grown up into a tiger and the piglet into a pig. By nature, the tiger wanted to hunt the pig. He said to the pig, Brother, I dreamt of eating you. It is a sin to dishonor a dream. Therefore, I have to eat your flesh. The pig was smart. He said, Let the Lion King decide. Both the tiger and the pig appeared before the lion and narrated the whole episode. A monkey was also present in the court. He said, My lord, I also saw a dream, and it is a sin to dishonor a dream. I saw that I was marrying the princess. The Lion King immediately understood what the monkey was trying to say, and he instructed the tiger, You will not eat the pig. Hence, justice was done.
Thanks for watching. Do like, share, subscribe to Sahil Book House.